Are you ready to take your business to the next level but feel stuck and overwhelmed with all the strategies and tactics out there? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Streamline to Scale podcast, where we help online business owners just like you go from 6 to 7 figures with ease. I'm Erin Persinger, and after years of working with companies to achieve sustainable growth, I've learned that the key to success lies in simplicity. That's why I'm sharing all the secrets to scaling your business without giving up countless hours or dollars. So let's get started on this exciting journey together. Tune in to the Streamline to Scale podcast, where we're turning business dreams into reality. Hey there, welcome back to the Streamline to Scale podcast. I'm super excited that you're here with me today. I'm Erin Persinger, CEO of Premier Virtual Operations. And each week, I bring you actionable steps towards building a business that scales. And today, I have a guest with me. I'm super excited to introduce my friend, Steve Raju. He's the owner of License to Quill, a phenomenal copywriter, and has a super cool sense of style and humor. So, Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Hi, Erin. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on with me. Steve is an amazing copywriter. His business, License to Quill, I've used frequently myself, so I can vouch for him 100%. And today he's going to chat with us a little bit about AI and using it in our business. So, Steve, would you like to just give a brief overview about yourself before we start?
Yeah, my background. Yeah, I'm a copywriter and marketer. I kind of fell into it by accident. I emigrated to Canada really out of my control. My wife fell seriously ill and she's Canadian. So I moved here and then I had to reinvent myself. My background, which kind of helps with this AI kind of stuff, is that I am a corporate kind of IT kind of programmer. I did that for 19 years. I moved into marketing because I decided I should start valuing my health and I didn't really want to do that anymore. But now marketing is there's an intersection, isn't there, with technology and how it can service, and especially with this AI kind of thing, because I do see a lot of people say a lot of stuff which makes no sense whatsoever. So I kind of like to educate people and help people to see what they can do with it.
Yeah, I hear a lot lately, people worried AI is going to replace the entire workforce. And I can see definitely the possibilities for expanding your workloads and good things, features that we can add, and definitely ways to use it to increase efficiency, which you know I'm all about, and streamlining all the things. But I would love if you would just tell us a little bit. I see your great prompts on Facebook where you're talking about AI and telling people how to exactly implement it in their business. And I'm not going to lie, I tried some of myself because, of course. So I would just love for you to talk a little bit about some ways we could possibly use AI, and as well as bust some of those myths that we hear frequently going around about AI.
Yeah, well, I know that you're all about your SOPs, aren't you? You're all about
yes.
The strong frameworks. And I think it's the term AI is kind of a slight misnomer in the sense there is no real intelligence to this. It's based on what's known as a neural network, which is when people who designed computers and computer systems in the past, where when you used to use in the back, dating myself here, but Lotus 123 and then Excel, it was very, very
Oh, yes.
very, very structured. Like, I want to do this, and they would write a program to make it kind of do that. And then the next year you'd have the better version. And it was like Excel 93 and then 94. And each year you get better and better and better. And then we say the systems are getting more sophisticated. But then at some point, we realize that if we really want to explode the potential of computing to be able to help us as humans to do tasks, then we have to try to get computers to be less like dumb robots and more to model the way we work as humans with our brains. So when they kind of researched our brains and neurons and synapses and dendrites, back to biology class at school, they started to make computers or systems that taught themselves. And so everybody assumes then, for example, that ChatGPT is one of these systems that is all-knowing and has this intelligence and is better at this and this and that. But ultimately, there are many different kinds of neural network. And this particular one, I think it's been described as a spicy autosuggest, in that it's done is that it's kind of read the entire internet, like more than you and I could read in 1,000 lifetimes, and all the scientific papers and whatever. and figured out the relationships between words, and then can understand, using its transformer technology it got from Google, understand what it is you're asking it in the form of a question and pass that out into the different bits of meaning that are in the phrase that you've asked. But then it goes off to this huge database of words, and then it's literally just putting one word after another, after another, after another, and it gets to one word and says, right, what's the probability of what word should come next? And so as it's going through its little process that it's kind of, you could say, learned as having read the entire internet, it's not really thinking in that sense. It's statistics, and it's actually math, it's calculus, which I try to get back into and I still don't understand it. AI, in inverted commas, for want of a better word, is only as good as the framework that you give it, the scaffolding or the structure and the detail of the instruction. If you just say, go away, I mean, you see these one-line kind of prompts, for example, write me an article about, the Spanish Inquisition or something, and it'll go away and do something. But then when you compare that output to what it's like when you give it some specific instructions, thinking like a computer, as it were, then the difference is night and day. So if you are coming at this with a disorganized team, with kind of loose SOPs that you kind of make up as you go along, if you don't have strong frameworks, you can't expect AI to fill in the gaps, as it were. It's not its function.
So you're telling me that AI is never going to take over the copywriter world? Like everyone's out there saying, we'll never need another copywriter again because AI is taking it all.
Well, one thing that AI will never have done, AI will never be present at the birth of its child. AI will never have to give a eulogy at a relative's funeral. AI will never go through a relationship breakup. It does not have empathy from learned experience. It's just,
which I know you are huge on in copy. The emotion behind the copy is what converts the copy.
Yes, because if you want to make someone do something, they have to feel something first, because it's the thought that precedes the action. We want them to click on a button or opt into a list or to buy something. They have to feel something first. And to feel something, there must be some kind of connection. And this is the argument that I've seen more and more copywriters making. And that is that AI is not going to, across the board, it's not going to be a rising tide lifts all boats, that everybody, all of a sudden, we're all going to be just talking about Plato and getting it back into learning calculus again, that we're all going to get really, really intelligent as a result of the fact we have this great output. If anything, it means that because I can make a 2,000-word blog article like that, it means across the board, we are now going to be inundated with a gigantic volume of, for want of a better word, just rubbish, garbage, low quality, mediocre copy and content everywhere that a human's not written. And we're actually going to non-humans, these robots writing this content. I mean, you get bots that are reading this content and acting on our behalf. And then we're going to have this weird situation where it's all bots talking to bots and we're just kind of just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. I think one good analogy that I saw Chris Haddad, who's one of my mentors, say was in the 50s when the washing machine came out, like an automatic machine that cleans your clothes. So no longer do you have to slave over a mangle or kind of batter your unmentionables against a rock by a riverbank. But now you can stick it in this machine, press a button. And then it was like, well, now you've got lots more time to do all the other things you want to do. But then housewives everywhere suddenly realized, well, it became their experience that rather than making their life easier, they didn't have lots of free time to go and play tennis. The amount of washing seemed to increase 10 times. Do you know what I mean? But the washing machine was always on every day.
That's true.
Costs as well. So you see this a lot when you have technological leaps. It's not the case that all of a sudden everything is all of a sudden just like, oh, we don't need copywriters anymore. Everything's just going to be great. And we're just going to sit around and just like watch money pour in. What's going to happen is the volume of output definitely will increase, but it's all written by robots without emotion, without empathy, without a deep understanding of the audience and their needs and the problems and what motivates them, and also what is the deeper desires. Why do they actually want to do this thing? Like building a team is a means to an end to something else that they really want. And the AI doesn't really understand that. And even if it appears like it understands it, doesn't understand it. It's just putting words one after another based on statistics. So that's why I'd say that if you're a terrible copywriter, then yes, probably your job is under threat.
You should be worried right now.
Yeah, you should
Terrible.
be worried. If you're skilled at writing with emotion, writing with as a human, more and more that kind of quality copy is going to stand out. Now, I'm not saying that AI, the algorithms are not going to improve in the future, but I think there comes a time where we crave human contact. I mean, there were people at the beginning of at the pandemic where we didn't have to go out and meet people. And for some people, because they're introverts, they kind of liked it. They liked this new way of the way the world was. Oh, I could just stay home in my sweats and I don't have to go to the office or whatever. But then we kind of come around full circle where then there's a proportion of those people that say, well, actually, I miss connecting. I miss talking to people. I miss traveling. I miss experiences.
Extroverts like me everywhere slightly died inside. We're on Zoom calls all day trying to get the human connection back now. But 100% understand what you're saying. And copywriters are one of the hardest things to hire for a team. I think people automatically think a copywriter should come in and just be able to pick up your style and take off. And people don't understand that there's a learning curve to your voice versus other voices. So they are one of the harder hires we make on a team. So can you tell me some ways that maybe we can use ChatGPT, for example, in our business that will not make us look like those trashy copywriters, second-rate copywriters?
Yes, there is a caveat to this in the sense that ChatGPT, as right now, I mean, that's going to change soon, but it's trained up to 2021. So if you want to try and understand your audience or there's any developments in your market or industry that have happened since, then you'd have to double check whatever.
Right, it's behind on the information.
Do your due diligence. But other than that, it is good in the sense that it has read all of those kind of Amazon reviews and Reddit forums and what people are saying about a particular product or a problem that they have. And so you can uncover insights about people very well in a very efficient kind of way, as long as you kind of double check it.
So market research.
Yeah.
Suddenly becomes easier through 2021.
That's right. Yes. But then again, if you just say, ChatGPT, tell me about, I don't know, stay-at-home moms in their 30s who really want to lose weight. And it will come out with this kind of generic kind of stuff. However, once again, it's only statistically spitting out words one after another with no understanding of what it's actually saying. If you bring a strong pre-existing market research framework to ChatGPT and give it some step-by-step instructions, which as a computer will just kind of execute, then you can get really deep, really into the weeds and pull out things that are really, really good and useful. For example, the customer empathy map is something that's often been used in businesses to try to really understand a market. And you can just, even if you don't have your own, you could probably go and find a framework for understanding a customer. And it's probably like hundreds that have been developed by like Harvard University or wherever. And then you can reverse engineer that and then ask it as a series of prompts or questions. For example, the customer empathy map from Stanford University asks you to think about your ideal customer. What are they seeing literally with their eyes? Maybe, for example, if it's a weight loss kind of thing, it's like that, the scale continuing to creep up. Maybe they see folds of fat on their back, where their underwear is. What are they saying? What are they saying to themselves, the internal conversation? What do they say to their friends? What does the spouse or maybe people at the gym say to them? And so you take an existing framework like customer empathy map, and then you put that strong framework into, it's like a little puppy, ChatGPT. It's very, very useful, but it kind of needs a lot of direction in the beginning. And then it gives you really, really good insight. I mean, you can even say to ChatGPT exactly how you want the output done. You want it in a table, if that kind of meshes well with your existing documentation. You can say output it in Markdown. For example, if you have a knowledge base on something like Obsidian or something like that that uses Markdown, you can get ChatGPT to output it exactly the way your current SOPs are or your documentation for your team is. So that's what I really do preach, the really strong existing frameworks. In the copy world, people that had kind of figured this all out before AI and had it all documented, that this is how you do X task, found it very easy to switch over to ChatGPT. So rather than having to Google around or make phone calls in the past, now the AI is performing the framework. So rather than like, well, we don't have to do kind of any kind of work, we just kind of throw it at the computer and it kind of tells us what to do. If anything, I would argue more like what you do is even more important, that we have to figure out a structure, a system, a set of steps and instructions and a really strong framework. And if you don't have one, then there are people right now. I know there's a couple of guys who are making quite a bit of money just going on Google, Googling frameworks like Simon Sinek's kind of matrix, or maybe it's the RMBC, which is a popular copywriting kind of framework, and then just turning that into prompts and then selling it. So strong framework, strong SOPs. But I mean, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already tell.
Oh yeah, I'm all about the framework and the system. And my favorite thing to say is always like, you turn your business into an automated machine using the systems, but then you have the people who run the machines, because if you have one without the other, then it never works. And that's kind of my take on ChatGPT. Yeah, it's amazing, but you still do not want to be the one putting in the information, getting it out. You still have to have the framework developed, all of the things still that you have to have a team that support you in. So that's kind of been my take on it. Like, yes, it's been amazing. We use it in my own business because I have been trained by copywriters like Steve. Steve's like, don't tell him that I trained you because some of your copy is still iffy. I was not a creative when I met Steve at all. My brain is much more analytical. So I was probably one of his harder cases. So we still use it, and it's been beneficial. No one on my team has lost their job over it, and they're certainly not going to. But I do see the benefits in business of things like the market research. It's made a lot quicker for us. Code for websites, things like that we need, even look up things, write a SOP. But like you said, it has to be very specific frameworks going into it.
Yeah. I mean, like even like with lead gen. So say, for example, you have an SOP for generating leads from LinkedIn. Now, I'll give you a free tip now. So everybody said in the past for automation for LinkedIn that you have to get some kind of program that connects with people and automatically follows up with them. And everybody kind of fed up of those kind of messages, and they kind of just tune them out. So kind of a better way of doing it is to look for a LinkedIn event that deals with a subject or a product that you also serve, that kind of audience already served. And then what you do is, and you find these events, you just have to go into LinkedIn, search for, I don't know, content marketing or whatever it is that you do, and then click on events, and it sees all the events that are upcoming. And then if you say you're going to attend that event, it will then reveal to you all the people that are already also attendees. So these are people that have put their hand up and said that I'm interested in this service or this product. And then what you can do is you can use a product like a Phantom Buster or Texor, and you can download a list of all of those LinkedIn kind of profiles of people who are already saying, yeah, I'm interested in this. So that's better than kind of randomly connecting with people. You have no idea if they use LinkedIn or what the need is in the business. So you're only connecting with qualified people who put their hand up already. And then what you can do is you can connect ChatGPT with a Google Sheet. There's a GPT for Google Sheets add-in. What that allows to you is you can do an equals GPT and then use the GPT prompt in your Google Sheet formula. So you can have this list of the kind of a spreadsheet of qualified kind of people to kind of follow up with. And then you can ask ChatGPT to read their profile and do a personalized message. Yeah, and these are people that are, and you can even do it like with some kind of context, saying, "Yeah, notice you're also attending the event with so and so. Looking forward to it." Something like that. Anyway, so you can use ChatGPT for lead gen, for example. We talked about market research. You can do about lead gen. What if you have those awkward customer service, angry customer, or you have difficult situations to deal with? You can kind of automate templates from ChatGPT where you say, well, this was the email.
And maybe that's one time we want to take human emotion out, right? When we're dealing with angry customers.
Yeah. Or, when you've got a bad review and you want to kind of answer a review, and that there's an optimum way of being able to, you acknowledge the problem, and then because even when people, even if you're not going to placate this particular person, later on there are people that are reading the reviews and they want to see that you responded, that you care, you handled it professionally, and ChatGPT can help with that. If you're doing Gary V's $80 kind of strategy, which was you don't have to post, but what you do is you look for a ton of people who have got posts on whatever social media platform it is, and they've got a lot of engagement. And his thing was like to read every single post and then make a really thoughtful reply. And then eventually, if you keep putting your 2 pennies worth over and over and over again, eventually you'll get a lot of attention to you, and then to your website, and then to your list, and then your content or whatever. Problem is that who's got time to do that? Who's got time to read everybody's post and then give a thoughtful response? But then what you can do is you can get ChatGPT. You can scrape a list of interesting posts that are brand new that are getting traction. That's pretty easy to do. Again, you can use a tool like Phantom Buster or Texor or Expandy. And then you can get ChatGPT once again to read the post, as it were, and then respond in an informal tone and then post that back. So that kind of speeds up that kind of process. You can, and again, that needs a person to do that.
100%, a team member.
There are times where you might say to ChatGPT, kind of respond to this post in an informal tone. And for some reason, it just seems to always want to say, "Hi, Erin!" exclamation mark, in a kind of a way that we don't actually speak. So if I was using that, I would probably take the output from ChatGPT, probably get rid of the kind of the greeting that it seems to always put in. If you wanted to automate the posting of comments, but you wanted to generate more engagement afterwards, you can ask ChatGPT to ask a question at the end of your comment, like, how have you found using this strategy yourself? Or what have your results been? Or is there anybody else you know who's doing this? And so you still need a team member to kind of oversee that, but you are able to take a process that used to take all day down to an hour. And it's very powerful.
Which gives your team more time to focus on other better things as well. I think everybody has a task that it's more valuable to do out there, right? We're always evolving into more valuable tasks. So those are great, awesome, amazing tips. So when can we expect the copywriting with AI course to come out from you?
Well, here's one thing is that I learned my AI, what I kind of learned to date, and outside of my own experimentation, from a copywriter called Sam Woods. He teaches that it's less about the prompts and more about a way of thinking, which is why as an entrepreneur, your own thinking time, your own time to be creative, that's why you want to give these tasks to your team and then to AI, because the most valuable part of it is you ideating, the creative being creative.
Yeah. That's been super helpful for someone like me who is not always creative too. Even just the prompts on give me 5 topics I can talk about that maybe start me down a list of things to at least consider.
So one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of people are making is thinking it's all about the prompt. And they might even say, oh, look, I'm going to buy a PDF of 1,000 prompts, not realizing that you can ask ChatGPT, write me 1,000 prompts about marketing, and it'll just do it. And a lot of the things that are being sold are just things you can quite easily come up with yourself. But the differentiator is when you put your own spin on it, you bring your framework on it, you bring your idea. And the thing about AI is that rather than turning you into like a mindless automaton, just copying and pasting prompts in, it should heighten your own creativity. So the creative person on the team should have more time and space to be more creative. And then ChatGPT will respond to that and give you some really, really interesting angles. For example, the one framework that I recently posted was, we're always looking to grab people's attention with our content. And normally it is that try and say something that nobody else is saying, or try and say the opposite of what everybody else is saying. And it's hard to be the opposite of everybody else, especially in a saturated market, because there are certain things that are given as received wisdom that everybody believes in. But I really like to get ChatGPT to go down a bit of a rabbit hole and then say, for example, for weight loss, well, how do you lose weight? And, caloric restriction, and don't eat too late, and intermittent fasting, whatever. And if I took one thing that people are talking about, intermittent fasting, and then I'll ask ChatGPT to argue the exact opposite and give me some proof. And then all of a sudden, and then give me some headlines for this very weird new way of thinking. And then all of a sudden, you've got ideas for content. It'll even start writing the content for you that you can massage. That would really grab people's attention because it's opposite to what everybody else is talking about. That would really make people like, huh? So ChatGPT is really, really, really good for that. So it's more, the differentiator is not the prompt, because anybody can copy and paste the prompt. You can even ask ChatGPT to rate your prompts and give suggestions about how to improve it. And you can even say, keep doing that until I've got the perfect prompt. So the prompts are like neither here or there. The differentiator is the human behind it. It's this brain, which is still a superior. When I say this, I'm gesturing on a podcast, but our own brain, it's our own imagination. That is the differentiator. So use ChatGPT to reduce the amount of time that your team members have to spend on certain tasks. It opens up their time for more tasks, interesting tasks that were previously not possible or not practical. That ChatGPT now makes it available. And then for you, that gives you the time to create, to be imaginative, to direct the AI to help your team. That's the differentiator. It's not the prompt. The bottleneck in AI is not the prompt. The bottleneck is the imagination of the prompter, because the AI has read the entire internet, and we're merely just still scratching the surface of what we can do with it.
I think it's definitely exciting. For me, I'm excited to see what it does and how it does improve productivity within our teams and within our businesses. So thank you so very much for joining us today. It's always amazing to talk to you, and you're so knowledgeable on so many things. If you want to check Steve out, you can look below.
Yeah, you can go to license2quill.co, and we'll be doing a workshop about this pretty soon, where we look at actual practical ways in which you can use AI to make some money. So rather than just talk about, this prompt and that prompt, we're more about a way of thinking. Hopefully you'll find it very useful.
Yeah.
And the working title is Live and Let AI, because it has to be Bond themed.
Of course, I love the Bond theme. You can't see, but Steve is sitting in front of me in his full Bond attire. He usually comes ready to work in his suit and tie to all our meetings.
All about the brand, Erin.
It's all about the brand. I know. I love it. I love it. So thank you so much. And we will certainly point people in the right direction to join you on your workshop and all the amazing things you have coming out in the future. It's always so great to have you.
It was great to see you, Erin. I love your smile and your relentless positivity.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Streamline to Scale, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in to the Streamline to Scale podcast. We hope you gained valuable insights on scaling and streamlining your business. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, growing your online business can be easy. By focusing on developing lean, effective teams, creating simple systems, and implementing smart business practices, you can take your business to the next level. And if you're ready to take action and start growing your business today, head over to our website at premiervirtualoperations.com to learn more about our services and how we can help you reach your business goals. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of Streamline to Scale.